Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another episode of MC Commute, where we test motorcycles on the way to the Motorcyclist headquarters in Irvine, California. And today we will be testing the 2021 Honda CB650R. This is Honda's middleweight sport standard, and it's also received a number of revisions for the 2021 model year. And that being said, we got a lot to talk about, so why don't we hit the road? My, oh my, oh my, oh my, the 2021 Honda CB650R. In my personal opinion, I think this motorcycle is a stunner. This is dressed in Honda's Neo Sports Café styling, as is the CB300R and also the bigger displacement CB1000R. That being kind of the retro-esque styling that Honda has introduced in the last few years. Now, one thing to note about this 2021 model is that it only comes in the black colorway that you see here, but in my personal opinion, I think that it looks really good. Obviously you have these kind of, I don't know what you call them, these bronze colored wheels that look really nice, as is the engine cases. We have LED headlights up front. Honestly, a very nice quality motorcycle with premium fit and finish, as you'd expect on a Honda product. So why don't we get to it? Let's fire this one up, still in first gear, put it in neutral so we don't take off. Okay. What do you guys think of that? I think it sounds pretty good. That inline-four 649cc power plant that powers this Honda CB650R. Yep. Oop, I should probably turn off. Hey, there's a fellow Honda rider, I think. There he goes on that magnificent Honda Goldwing. Man, he looks like he's ready for a tour. I think I'm ready for one of those too. What a machine that bike is. Maybe one day we'll get a review in Honda Goldwing together on something other than a Commute. How about that, guys? Let's do something magnificent with the Honda Goldwing. Now, as we mentioned, this Honda CB650R is powered by a 649cc inline-four power plant, which receives numerous revisions for the 2021 model year, most notably aimed at improving emissions. Those changes being revised ECU mapping. It's also got different intake valve timing. It's got a little bit different cam lobes, a new exhaust, new muffler, among other things. Now, like I said, that's mostly aimed at improving emissions, but in testing this motorcycle, I threw it up on our in-house Motorcyclist dyno, where it recorded 81.9 horsepower at nearly 11,000 RPM and right around 43 foot-pounds of torque. Now, comparing that to the last 2019 model that we tested, that actually produces roughly 1.5 more horsepower and about 2 foot-pounds more of torque. So, while improving emissions, Honda has also increased this in power, which is a nice touch. And it's an entertaining power plant at that. 81.9 horsepower may not seem significant, but for the category and the approach that Honda took with this motorcycle, I think that it aptly fits. It feels... Yep. This thing is pretty good. Now, this motorcycle, it does not have any specific ride modes. It doesn't have any adjustability. It does have Honda's selectable torque control. In other words, Honda's traction control settings. Now, that's either on or off, no selectable settings. That's a nice touch to have. I don't necessarily feel like you need to have it, as this isn't a big power monster, but it is a nice touch to have, maybe if the conditions were less than ideal. Other couple little things that I have to comment on would be the throttle response. you know, the fueling of this motorcycle is just slightly abrupt. I feel sometimes that in slow speed scenarios specifically, I just struggle to find smooth feeling. You have to be very precise and very deliberate with your throttle control to not feel so lurchy when kind of getting around traffic or in slow speed maneuvers. So nice touch. Honda, you know, they aimed those improvements at boosting emissions, but also they succeeded with giving it a little bit more oomph, which is obviously just adds entertainment value. Another thing that Honda revised on this 2021 model is the ergonomics. The handlebar is rolled. The handlebar is rolled slightly forward to help with slow speed maneuvers as well. And honestly, it's a very neutral riding position on this motorcycle. The handlebar is in a very comfortable position for my 5'7" racer size stature, as I always like to joke, but not really joke. I'm just trying to justify me being short. But it's in a very neutral position. The foot pegs are somewhat sporty, which I appreciate. The foot pegs are somewhat up and back, that placement, and so it puts you in an aggressive stance when you're on the balls of your feet. You can really kind of hustle this motorcycle underneath you and put it where you need to be on the road, right? But it's also not too aggressive to where it becomes uncomfortable if you're on your daily commute or even a few 100-mile ride. I found this motorcycle to be just overall very neutral. All right, let's hit it. Let's open this bad boy up. Nice. Nice. It has enough acceleration that it can be just downright fun, but also not scary fast, or maybe get you in trouble with the law as you might on maybe a CB1000R. One other thing that I have to comment on with the, look at all these fellow motorcyclists out today. That makes me very happy. It's a beautiful day for it. One thing I have to comment on would be the shift feel through the gearbox and through the gear lever. Is sometimes it's not a very positive feel. Sometimes you question whether you actually get the thing into gear. And that being said, I have found false neutrals a couple times during my testing, as I know Adam had found during his testing of the 2019 CB650R. Now that being said, I've also struggled with the clutch actuation and the feel at the lever, especially launching off of stops like we are right now. It's hard to tell when it's actuated, when it's not actuated, and really kind of get you. And that also, you know, that kind of plays into taking off in second or third gear when sometimes you don't have the opportunity to get down to first. It makes it challenging. Really above 7,000 RPM, this kind of, it takes life and it wants to really spool up, which makes it quite entertaining when you can keep it spinning. I love that sound of inline-fours, man. It really makes you feel like you're on a competition-inspired machine, which really just adds some entertainment to the overall ride. Now, Honda has also updated the chassis just slightly, that being the addition of the Showa separate function big piston fork that is equipped at the front of this motorcycle. You know, that replaces the inverted fork that was on the 2020 model, just with slightly different internals. Honda geared this at being a little bit more sporty. As you can essentially feel, it feels a little bit stiffer, and you know, maybe it doesn't soak up those small chatter bumps and imperfections as well as it did in the past, but it also lends itself to more big hit support and it can be up to the task of handling very aggressive, spirited riding, maybe if you were to head back to the canyons or the twisties. ABS also comes standard on this machine. Now, what I have to say is, while the braking power, the outright power of the brakes of these 4-piston radial mounted calipers is strong, it lacks feel at the lever to really understand how much force is being applied at the caliper, and also just the initial bite when you first pull on that lever. It just doesn't really feel like you're stopping. So you really have to grab, I don't want to say a handful of brake, but you have to grab more brake than you anticipate to really get this thing to stop. Once you get it in that stop, like, start putting the power to the calipers, this motorcycle stops itself pretty well. One more thing that I should add, being that we're stuck in traffic all day today, is the low 32.0 measured inch seat height. Actually allows me to flat foot. Like I said, I'm 5'7". It allows me to flat foot this motorcycle very comfortably and gives me a very good sense of control, especially in this dense traffic or just slow speed maneuvers. The whole motorcycle itself feels very narrow and compact, which, you know, just gives a good feel, especially in those slow speed scenarios. Ladies and gents, we're also going for a second gear start from the stoplight. As you can see, it sometimes is a little difficult to understand where the clutch is actuated and where it isn't. And can sometimes be a little bit challenging, but overall power is very usable. What are we doing here? Power is very usable and friendly and approachable. Now, to get to the real numbers, this Honda CB650R tipped the Motorcyclist scales at 445 pounds, fully fueled, that 4.1 gallon fuel tank top to the brim, which, you know, maybe isn't relatively that lightweight, but as we talked about, it has a very compact and lightweight feeling out on the road. And when we get to our favorite roundabout corner up in a little bit, we'll show off the cornering potential of this middleweight Honda. Let's rip by this car, put that inline-four power to the test. We're coming up to our roundabout to enter California I-5. I'm hoping that we get a little bit of clear space in front of us, but of course we're gonna hit another red light and put this ABS to the test. Now, what I have to say is that the braking performance, as we talked about, the brake feels a little bit numb. The initial bite of the brake is also a little bit lacking and numb, but I have to give kudos to Honda for the tuning or the algorithm of the ABS on the 650R, as even in the most hard stopping experiences that I've had on this motorcycle, the ABS doesn't flare up too aggressively and send pulses, like excessive pulses through the lever to really kind of hinder the stopping performance of this 650. Nice touch. All right. If we can take one thing from all these red lights, it looks like we got some clear road in front of us to get on the freeway right here. Third gear, put these Dunlop D214s to the test. Here comes our bump. Not so bad. That big hit support that we talked about, obviously soaking up that bump as we enter California's highway, Interstate 5, headed to the Motorcyclist offices. Now we're already in top gear, headed down the road, doing roughly 75 miles an hour and settling in somewhere around 6,000 RPM in top gear. And it's a relatively neutral, comfortable ride. One thing that I'd really like to point out, which is also a revision to this 2021 model, is Honda has repositioned the LCD display for better visibility. On the previous model, sometimes with the sun glare or just the overall positioning of that display, it was very difficult to read the figures on that dashboard. So I have to give kudos to Honda on that. It is much easier to read. I have a clear picture of what is actually going on with vital information. Now we're headed to the Motorcyclist offices. The mirrors on the CB650R are relatively vibration free. It paints a nice clear picture of what's going on behind me with a lot of I don't know what we want to call that, surface area to see, a nice big clear picture. The seat construction, in my honest personal opinion, is slightly harsh. It just kind of sends discomfort through my tailbone as I'm sitting on this thing. I think that, as you get later into a day, rather than in just a 12 or 15 mile commute, that stiffness would probably be more beneficial, because sometimes they get too soft and you actually kind of sag into the seats. So that seat construction isn't to my preferred liking, but I think that it would have its place. And also, buying an aftermarket seat is not the most it's not a very difficult thing to do and really tune this bike to your liking. Alright, so that 4.1 gallon fuel tank with the slim, narrow, compact feel in between our legs. Out during our testing, I've recorded anywhere between 39 and 41 miles per gallon from the CB650R. So in theory, you could roughly get maybe 140, 150 miles out of this motorcycle without too much fuel range anxiety. Nice touch. I think this is an overall very comfortable, capable commuter with a lot of versatility. As you can imagine, with any sport naked machine, you're obviously going to deal with wind blast on the highway, and that is such the case with this CB650R. Not excessively. The riding position is not overly aggressive to where you're fighting it, nor does this motorcycle really want to haul butt like maybe bigger displacement motorcycles in the category, so you're not tempted to haul butt and also strain yourself at the same time by fighting the wind so significantly. That assist slipper clutch that is equipped to this CB650R lends itself to very smooth deceleration and downshifts getting into the corners. A nice touch by the Big Red manufacturer. Well, this lady's on her phone, MC Commute viewers. It's very disappointing. I really wish that people would pay more attention to others on the road, and especially motorcyclists, as we can all band together on that one. So we're gonna try and go for a wheelie aboard this CB650R. Now we're gonna turn off that HSTC being the traction control system that is equipped to this machine. Now all you have to do is quickly pull on this lever. Now you got a icon that displays that the TC is now turned off, and we're gonna go for a little wheelie. I haven't honestly practiced wheelies on this thing, so guys, please go easy on me. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna give this Honda CB650R a shot in the Motorcyclist MC Commute wheelie zone. Jeez Louise, I'm poor at wheelies. I need to practice those more. Sorry guys, go easy on me. Go easy on me, would ya? Everyone makes mistakes. Alright, our MC Commute on this 2021 Honda CB650R is coming to an end. Now, would I purchase this 650R? Well, it's an interesting discussion, right? Because Honda offers the CB300R, the 650R, and the 1000R. The CB300R is a very enticing entry-level machine. The 650R, I think that it could be an entry-level machine. I think that there's sometimes maybe a little bit too much power. Maybe it's not the most approachable motorcycle right off the get-go, but it holds its place, as I mentioned, in that lineup. I think that this motorcycle is really a good middle ground for someone looking for a machine after, one of those lightweight displacement bikes, like a 300 or 400, but not quite ready to step up to a big displacement machine like a CB1000 or FZ10 or something like that. Now, that being said, this Honda CB1000R retails itself for $9,199. And what you get is a premium fit and finish, as we talked about. A very entertaining inline-four 649cc power plant. You have the Neo Sports Café styling that Honda has given this. And as we noted in our reviews, this 2021 model comes with a number of revisions that have not only improved the performance of this machine, but also improved the functionality, like the dashboard, the handlebars, a little bit more neutral position. Overall, I really enjoyed my time aboard the 2021 CB650R, and I hope that you guys enjoyed it just as much. Now, if you guys like this video, like it, comment. We want to hear from you, and subscribe to the Motorcyclist YouTube channel. Head over to motorcyclistonline.com to read the full story, and we'll see you guys next time.